For 10 long years, Mark was a man of numbers. His desk was a mountain of spreadsheets, and his days were filled with the clicking of a calculator. While he was very good at his job, his heart wasn't in the ledgers. In the margins of every report, he secretly sketched soaring towers and elegant arches. On his 10th work anniversary, he realized he didn't want to count money anymore. He wanted to design the world. Moving to London to study architecture was a big risk. Mark spent an entire afternoon checking his bank account, calculating tuition fees and the cost of a small flat in the city. To his relief, he had saved just enough for his first year. When the acceptance letter arrived from a famous London design school, Mark jumped so high he nearly hit the ceiling. He began packing his bags immediately. On his final night at home, Mark had a farewell dinner with his best friend Leo. They ate pizza and talked about the future. "I'll be there tomorrow morning to drive you to the airport," Leo promised with a grin. "You're going to be the best architect London has ever seen." Mark felt lucky to have such a supportive friend to see him off. The next morning, the highway was a mess of flashing lights. A driver had swerved to avoid a stray dog and crashed into a wooden fence. Leo, who was driving behind them, stopped to help. However, the situation turned bizarre when the police arrived and discovered the crashed car was stolen. Leo had to stay to give a statement, unable to leave the scene of the strange accident. At the airport, Mark paced back and forth near the check-in counter. He checked his watch every 30 seconds until his phone finally buzzed. It was Leo, explaining the chaos on the highway. Mark was shocked by the news of the stolen car, but he had a plane to catch. He said a hurried goodbye over the phone and headed toward the gate alone. When Mark landed in London, he felt terrible. His head throbbed and his back ached from the cramped airplane seat. But there was no time to rest. He had an important appointment with the school director. He hurried to his hotel to wash his face and straighten his tie. He didn't want his tired appearance to annoy the man who held his future in his hands. Director Sterling's office was filled with wooden models and rolls of blueprints. The director himself was a tall, stern man with a professional attitude. He laid Mark's drawings out on a large table and frowned. "Your attempt to design a bridge is interesting," he said, his voice echoing in the quiet room. "But these measurements are not accurate." Mark felt his heart sink, but Director Sterling wasn't finished. "You are thinking like an accountant, focusing only on the numbers, Mark. You need a new approach. You must feel the space." He looked Mark in the eye and gave him a piece of advice he would never forget. "Do not be ashamed of mistakes. Learn from them." The following months were the hardest of Mark's life. He was one of 20 students in a demanding class. He attended every single lecture, often staying in the studio until the sun came up. He met a classmate named Elena, and together they spent hours debating the strength of different materials. The work was grueling, but for the first time, Mark felt truly proud of his efforts. Finally, the big day arrived. The school board gathered to review the final projects. Mark presented his redesigned bridge, a masterpiece of both math and art. He didn't regret his choice for a second. It was an amusing twist of fate. He used to spend his days counting money, but now he was building dreams. When Director Sterling nodded in approval, Mark knew he had finally reached his goal.